Okay, this is September 12, Tuesday, 2023, and we are in BBA first semester, section A, and this is the second class of this semester. What did we do in yesterday's class? Tell me what we did in yesterday's class.
Give some meanings or what are the course content like listening, reading.
Okay, we read the curriculum and tried to understand the contents of our course. Okay, what else did we do? Tell me something about the course that we talked about yesterday. Yeah?
We talk about lottery.
We talked about lottery. I said you read that story that has suspense and thrill in it. Did anyone read? No one read, right? No one read. Reading is we don't like reading these days. We have lots of reading, other digital reading, right? But Lottery by Shirley Jackson is a 3-page story that has suspense and thrill and killing. I gave you an example of this story as a theme. I was saying that there are different themes in our course. Okay, we talked about Lottery by Shirley Jackson. What did we talk about the curriculum? What other things? What other things did we talk about the curriculum in yesterday's class? You tell me. I'm checking your memory. I'm checking whether you have gone through the curriculum. I'm checking whether you have read. Yeah?
You told us meaning over something like diaspora, critical thinking.
Okay, I talked about critical reading. But I didn't talk about creative reading, right? I said when you read critically, you begin with doubt about what the author says, then you cross-check the reasons the author is giving, you read his claim, you check the reasons he brings to support his claim, then you look for the evidences he brings to back up his reasons. And if the evidences are convincing, if reasons seem to be true, and if convincing evidences and true reasons convincingly support the claim, you believe the argument, right? Otherwise, you disagree, right? What else did we talk about? I want everyone in this class to contribute, speak up, because one way we evaluate you internally is how much you participate in class discussion. So we had a class yesterday. Now I'm checking your memory, your reading, your preparation. I had mailed you the soft copy to many people who mailed me, and I had told you, you mail me greetings, I'll mail you back the syllabus. Some of you did, 15, 20 people, I mailed them back. So if you have gone through the syllabus, just tell me what we discussed in class yesterday. Whatever you remember. Writing. Okay, we said that this course contains academic writing. Okay, you were saying something. Pardon?
When a girl suicides in a relationship.
Okay, we talked about a story, Coward, the Coward or A Coward by Munshi Prem Chand. His another name is Dhanapat Rai, and he is an Indian author, very famous novelist and story writer from India. And in the story Coward, we read how a girl and a boy fall in love in college. The girl is dedicated to the boy, and the boy also says, I don't believe in caste discrimination. I can go to any extent for my marriage in the beginning. But later on, when his father scolds him for being in love with a girl that is not from his caste and community, then the boy gives in and he says, oh, sorry, I didn't know that there are so big barriers in love. I'm sorry, Prema, I can't marry you. And Prema is so shocked that she thinks that I'm dedicated to this boy. If I live with him. If I can't live with him, I die. And the story doesn't show if she has committed suicide. But in the last scene, we find that Prema is sleeping. The rays of the rising sun fall on Prema's cheeks and her face is red. And we know that she won't wake up again. We read another example. I want you to tell me something from the course description. What are the salient characteristics of this course? Go back to the course description and tell me something, if you remember. from the course description? Can you tell me something from the course description? You don't remember, right? You don't remember because the way I taught you in class yesterday was wrong. What was wrong in my teaching yesterday? The wrong thing in my teaching yesterday was that I spoke a lot. And you were just listening passively, right? That's why you don't remember anything now. I wish, has anyone printed this syllabus? Has anyone printed the syllabus at home and brought a hard copy? No, you didn't do. I guess many of you, some of you might have a printer at home. So if you have a printer at home, printing facility at home, get the syllabus printed and come to class with a hard copy so that you can refer when we talk about it. Let me open the syllabus and then we'll talk. In the meantime, you can raise questions and ask me anything. By anything, I mean about the curriculum. Just a minute. I should display, right? That's a good idea. Okay. Yeah, you can look, you can see that way. Let me go back to the office and check if I have VGA cable. I'll do that. Thanks for suggestion. Okay, let me display the screen over there. While I set up the devices, just a memory in my school days, especially in my 10+2 days, when the sky was overcast like this and when it rained, we called such days rainy days. And the understood rule in college was that if it is a rainy day, it's a holiday, right? So if the sky was overcast and if it started raining, then we knew that teachers won't teach us, and we liked it and we wished that it rained, right? So whenever there was rain, we had no class. But now it's so sad that I had to come all the way 14 kilometers from Balaju wearing a raincoat and other things to protect myself from the rain. Come in. Okay, where is the remote? I wish we still had rainy days, right, as holidays. You know, as students, we felt quite boring without teachers and the way they taught us. So we wish sometimes there was a break from classes, you know. Classes after period, we had to listen to them all the time. They're very strict people. Okay, leave that. Let me switch on. Yes. Here. Now it should work. Yes. There is no light. I guess there should be a red light blinking. I have turned it on. Yes, now it's turned on. That's a good suggestion you gave me, right, Miss Bosnet? Thank you for suggesting me to use the projector. I was feeling lazy to go to office and bring the VGA cable and connect everything. Okay. Yeah, let's hope that it's so handy, right? I can take anywhere, right? It's my son who bought all these things for me. He saw my passion in such things, so he bought this one for me. No, he is an engineer doing his PhD in America these days. And my daughter-in-law is also doing PhD. They are together. Let's not talk about personal things, right? They both got scholarships in the same college and they are living together and doing PhD. Okay. Where is the mouse? WINDOWS Windows MOBILITY Mobility Center. Control panel, disconnect, and again WIN. Windows Mobility Center. F5. F6, F7, F8, Does anyone know the shortcut key to connect to the projector? There is some key I forgot. Does anyone have the idea? There is a shortcut key you can press. Is it displayed? I'm not able to understand what's going on. Technical devices always pose problems, right? WINDOWS Windows Mobility Center, and external display, volume, brightness. I'm not able to connect it right now, so I don't know what's the problem. I'll talk without displaying it, okay? I hope I can help you. Oh, I forgot to turn on my audio recording. Let me turn it on. I make 2 recordings, one visual and one audio. Okay, so we began the class by asking you what you remember about yesterday's class. So let's once again recall quickly what we had talked about. We read that this course has texts from different genre. There can be a poem, there can be an essay, there can be a story, there can be a play, there can be an audio visual content like a documentary or a movie to watch, right? Then we said that the texts may be also about Nepal. There can be some writings which present something about Nepal, and there can be writings written by Nepalese who do not live in Nepal but they live outside. What was the word we used for that? Nepali diaspora, right? The word diaspora. Then we said that we will read these texts. Again, I seem to have forgotten to bring my marker. Oh, yes, I have, right? I wish I had a teaching assistant with me all the time, right? Okay. We said, What do you think is critical reading? Any idea?
Doubting.
What do you think critical reading is?
Doubting and reading.
Yeah?
Doubting and reading.
Okay. Doubting and reading. Okay. Yesterday I didn't talk about creative reading, right? I talked about critical reading. What do you think is creative reading then?
Like thinking something new. Different.
Okay, thinking something new. See, there is a view that meaning is not in the text. Meaning is not in what is written there. Meaning is in the process of reading. If you don't read a printed page, it never makes meaning to anybody. Any writing makes meaning only when someone reads it, isn't it? Just imagine I publish a book and I throw all the copies into the ocean. Nobody finds them and nobody reads. Will anybody make meaning of my writing? No. So meaning emerges as we read. Now the question comes, who reads? The audience or the reader? Who writes? The author. See, normally we say that a writer makes meaning in his writing, a writer creates meaning in his writing. But now I am arguing that it's not the author who makes meaning. It is the reader who makes meaning. Have you seen sometimes we say something to someone and they make a meaning we didn't expect. And then we say, I didn't intend that. I didn't mean that. You say, people understand you differently than you intended them to understand. So do you realize meaning is not always in control of the speaker. Meaning is not always in control of the author or writer. And the argument is, it is the readers who make meaning. Now when you say reading creatively, writers use imagination when they write. Writers use imagination when they write. Because as we sit down to write, we have facts that it don't need to be imagined. We have facts. And we color the facts with imagination, right? And then it becomes interesting. That's why we don't like reading Kantipur newspaper the next day. It's stale. It's factual and the facts are old, you don't like reading. But we reread a favorite novel many times. The difference between the Kantipur front page and the novel's chapter is that Kantipur has only facts. The novel has fact plus imagination. And it is imagination that makes things interesting. Right? Human beings are imaginative creatures, aren't they? Human beings are imaginative creatures. So if something is written with imagination, the argument is you must read it with imagination. You must read it with imagination. I was in grade 11 long ago, and one of the girls in my class one day wrote a small letter. And how did she begin that letter to me? She began with the word, "Dear honey." My name was Divakar Upadhyay. I was her classmate. She chose the word, "Dear honey." Don't you think she was very imaginative? She imagined me in terms of, with the metaphor of honey, right? And I was reading that scrap of paper that she delivered through a boy to me, and I was imagining what it means to be called as honey. So my point is, writers use imagination when they write, and readers also use imagination when they read. And when you read something with imagination, let's say you become a creative reader. you become a creative reader. Readers respond to the text. And as we read anything, don't you realize we have prior knowledge, right? For example, you have come to BBA, you have passed 10 plus 2, you already have some knowledge of English language, literature. You already have some knowledge of life, some knowledge of the world, some knowledge of language, literature. And as you read any new text in this course, you bring that prior knowledge to the present knowledge, right? Then you also bring your life experience to your reading, right? You relate a poem to your life. You relate a story to your society, to your family. And that experience, your life experience, helps you to make a meaning. So, if she reads a poem, she may come up with one meaning, and if he reads the same poem, he may come up with a slightly different meaning. He is not wrong. She is not wrong. Both of you are right. Understand that no writing has one single final meaning. There are as many meanings as there are writers, because as many meanings as readers, because every reader applies his knowledge to the text. Every reader applies his experience to the text. Every reader applies his viewpoint to the text. Every reader approaches the text with his or her cultural background. Meaning making is not a simple thing. It's a complex thing. So when you bring your knowledge, your experience, your view, your cultural background to understand a text, you are being a creative reader. Okay, I'm a Brahmin. Okay, I come from a strict, rigid Brahmin family. Suppose I read a story about intercaste marriage. Imagine I'm reading a story, Marriage is a Private Affair by Chinua Achebe. Have you read? Have you read? A wonderful love story about intercaste love and marriage and consequences by Chinua Achebe. It's a wonderful story about college students who fall in love, and then all the problems start because they belong to two different castes. Now I'm Brahmin. Let's imagine that my family is very traditional, conservative, strict family, and in my family intercaste things are not allowed. Now if I'm reading this story, now I'll bring that Brahminical concepts and ideas to the story, and I will start disagreeing with the boy who is in love with a girl from different caste, right? Now imagine I am the son of the parents who had intercaste marriage. Imagine my father is from one caste and my mother is from quite another caste. And I know this thing, I have a family background, intercaste marriage. Now if I read the same story, I will appreciate the love affair, because I will relate the story with my family background. So don't you think our cultural background, our values, our beliefs, our economic background, our social background affects how we understand and how we interpret what we read? That's my point. Okay, so I was talking about creative reading. Now every time you read, you should write a response journal. For example, I will encourage you to buy copies like this or this, as you prefer. For example, I prefer this one because it is spiral binding. So what I do is, if I'm like you in this class, so I have a class and my teacher says read a story at home. I read the story, and after I finish reading, I first write down my understanding. I read a story at home, close the book, and write down my understanding in a couple of paragraphs. Then I write implied meaning or suggested meaning or indirect meaning of the story I read earlier. Then I write some doubts and questions on the story, where I agree with the author, where I don't agree with the author. For example, I might say, oh, Prema commits suicide, so Prema is not a good girl, not a strong girl, not a progressive girl, she's a traditional conservative girl. If Kesav left her, she could have 12 boyfriends in the college. Should you kill yourself because your boyfriend dissed you? No. But Prema committed suicide simply because Kesav rejected her. So Prema is a very vulnerable, very emotional, very shy type, very traditional kind of girl. Look my response. What I'm doing? I'm giving my response to what the author has written. Then finally I write that after reading this story, I learned that if we fall in love with intercaste partners, it may bring a lot of troubles in life. We should be ready to face family objections. I also learned that to change society, to make it more livable, we should encourage intercaste marriage. I want you to write such response journals. We briefly call them RJs. We call them not radio jockey. Here RJ doesn't mean radio jockey, I mean response journal. A journal is a diary. A journal is a note copy you keep with you. A response journal is a note copy where you read and write your responses. Now when you write responses this way, you are doing creative reading and critical reading. So we talked about this yesterday, right? So let's move ahead. Now today I won't delve into the course description again. I'll move to the course objectives, and I'll talk about what might be some of the objectives. I wish I could connect it to the projector so that you could view it, and I don't know. Okay, leave it. I'll take help later on. So if you check the objective, the first objective it says is, let me place the laptop over there and then read here. The first objective is read and respond to text in different genre. Read, respond to text in different genre. So do you see this course? This course aims to teach you techniques of reading, how to read. For example, as you read, you should look for background information on the topic, for example. If there is a picture before the text, focus on the picture, for example. If there is a description about the picture, read carefully the description, for example. If the text is in a chapter, read carefully the chapter topic, for example. Then first read the title of the text, for example. What is the title? Then what are the key words in the title? For example, the first reading in your course is, first essay in your course is, Where Do We Stand by Liz Davis. So what are the key words? Where and stand. So where refers to location, right? Look here in this class, where am I standing? I'm standing in this area. I do not come this side and then start teaching you standing at the back. If I continuously stand here and teach you, it will feel awkward. Look, many of you are turning back to look at me. So where does a teacher stand Where does a teacher stand? I cannot stand so close to her all the time, so you'll feel awkward. Right? When you go to a party, for example, strangers can't come too close to you. You reject them, right? So, have you seen on the dinner table, inside the family, outside the family, at the shop, in the school, at the playground, we are not aware, but we all know the distance we maintain with people, right? We know how close we can come. We can come too close in a crammed bus, for example. But we don't come that close in a classroom, for example. Right? So that is, what I was saying, as you read a text, focus on the keyword. Right? 2 words. Then, after you focus on the keywords, then read the paragraph.
Then what is stands for?
Yeah?
Stands for what?
Okay, in that essay, Lisa Davis talks about what happens when people from different cultures participate in a conference, for example, and when an Arabian, an American, a Japanese, a Russian, an Indian, a Chinese are in the same hall, for example. How do they use space? For example, she says, Arabian people like being very close to people they talk to. They come so close that they will spit on your face. They come so close that you can smell their breath. Americans, just opposite. Americans say that 18 inches around my body is my private space. So what happens in a meeting? The Arabian goes very close to the American backs off, and finally there is one American in every corner because that's the far they can go. And now the American is like this, the Arabic, yes sir, like this. Right? As if he was kissing him, right? And Lisa Davis says that if the Arabian doesn't understand how the American maintains a distance, and if the American doesn't understand how Arabians don't have any idea of privacy, then the American will feel bullied and the Arabian will feel cold. The Arabian will say, oh, this American is not a good person. Look, he's going away all the time. The American will feel, oh, this guy, is he a gay person coming so close to me? Oh, this guy is a weird guy. Oh, is he a terrorist? Oh, what kind of guy is? He's approaching too close. And such misunderstandings break your communication and you have problems talking. And Lisa Davis argues that it's always good to understand how people use public spaces in different cultures while having conversation, because you people ultimately, when you finish BBA, I'm pretty sure you will leave Nepal and you will go to a foreign country where you will meet a Japanese, you will meet an Arabian, you will meet a British, American. So in future, most probably you will be in a multicultural setting. And her argument is that it's always good to have some knowledge of how people communicate in another culture. And I was saying, as you read, focus and understand the key words in the title. I just gave an example. Now, as you read a paragraph, look for main idea. So, I stand on 2 legs, right? Feet, right? If I stand like this on 1 leg, then I'll start wobbling. I can't look, I'm wobbling now. I can't balance myself, right? Now, as I can't stand 1 leg, I need 2 legs. Every piece of writing stands on 2 pillars. In every kind of writing, there are 2 things only. This is very useful when you do IELTS or TOEFL or any other test. For example, every piece of writing has idea and it has details. Idea and details. Your job is, as you read, focus more on the idea. What are details? Examples can be details. Examples can be details. For example, if I begin my diary Today was a gloomy day. Suppose this evening I'm writing in my diary about this day and I begin by saying, today was a gloomy day. So my main idea is that Tuesday was gloomy. Now in the paragraph, I should give example why the day was gloomy. If I write something in the paragraph that shows that the day was very happy, I'm contradicting. This is my point. So you read for main idea and details and go on. So I was talking about this course will teach you how to read and how to respond to a text. Regarding responding to a text, there are 4 things you can do or 6 things you can do. First, read and understand the text. Understand the text. Second, interpret the suggested meaning of the text. Third,
Interpret means like limiting ideas.
you know, writings and writers do not always say things directly to you. They imply.
Indirectly they
Indirect, saying something indirectly. They haven't written it there, but we understand. So, first comprehension is focusing on what is written. Interpretation is focusing on what is not written, but what is meant. Do you realize, do you get my point? Have you seen, in our daily life also, sometimes we say one thing and we mean something different. And people get us. Sometimes they don't get us. If they don't get us, we are disappointed. If they get us, we are happy. So do you think we always say directly the things? No. Sometimes we say things indirectly. There is a phrase, reading between the lines. Reading between the lines. There are empty white spaces between the lines. But the argument is that the writer is not only saying with the words, the writer might also be saying something beyond the words. So if you can go beyond the words, you are interpreting, right? Third is applying critical thinking. Critical thinking is simple. Very simple definition is, someone says something to you, and you begin by saying, why should I believe you? The moment you say why, you become a critical thinker. Suppose someone says something to you and you never raise a question, you believe them, you accept them, you are not a critical thinker. Suppose I am a politician and I have nominated my candidates in the election. I have come to your home and I say, please do vote for me. And you say, yes uncle, you are my teacher in LA college, I know you pretty well, so I'll surely vote for you. You are not a critical thinker. You are not a critical thinker. But if you say, Divakar sir, I know you taught me, you were my teacher 5 years before, but now as a candidate for the parliament, why should I vote you? What's your plan? Tell me. Now you become a critical thinker. Because what are you doing? I'm saying, vote for me, a claim. Vote for me. And you're raising questions, why should I vote you? Now, I'll give you reasons. If my reasons seem convincing, you will agree with me. If my reasons seem unconvincing, you will reject my appeal. That's how we become critical thinker. In writing also, writers say, for example, one author says, intercaste marriage is good. Chinua Achebe, for example, shows in his story that the older generation should agree to newer generation. In that story, the son falls in love with a girl from another community. And then the father, oh God, the father has a photograph of the son at home. No, look how tragic the story is. The daughter-in-law one day sends a photograph of her and husband to home, the father-in-law. And what the father does, looks at the photo and he tears the photo and separates the boy and girl and says, I have nothing to do with you. Oh God, can you imagine parents like this? He's so angry. And finally says, I have forgotten you both. Don't come my home. For 8 years they don't come home. And then children are born, grandchildren, and they start asking, where is our grandpa? Where is our grandpa? Then the daughter-in-law writes, dear father, please don't allow us home. We won't come. But your grandchildren, they're asking, where is grandpa? So please, won't you allow your grandchildren to see you? Then grandfather's heart melts. Then his heart melts. And he finally says, come home. And they come home. So finally, who surrenders? The older generation. Who wins? The younger generation. So what is the message? The message is that the older generation, the parents should always listen to the children. It's not children who should follow the parents should follow children because it's their life. Your marriage is your private affair. How can your father dictate whom you marry? That's the argument. Now, I, coming from a strict Brahmin family, may reject this argument. She, coming from a family that already has an example in intercaste, may agree with the argument. That's how we apply critical thinking. Then, finally, we ask assimilation. In biology, this morning when I left home, I drank 4 glasses of lukewarm water. And I'm teaching you with that energy. If I had not drunk 4 glasses of water, I'll be exhausted and I won't be able to teach you. And I took a glass of lemon water. So as I drank water with lemon, my body has absorbed certain minerals, vitamins, and my body is functioning with that minerals and vitamins. When we eat something, have you seen, when we eat something, our body digests it. Then the body absorbs vitamins, minerals, useful things. It goes to blood, we get energy. And in the morning, we defecate the waste. Right? The body takes something and gives away something. In the same way, as you read, your mind is eating. We eat through the mouth, we also eat through the mind. To keep your mind healthy, read good things. To keep your body healthy, eat good things. Read good books, your mind will be healthy. Eat good food, your body will be healthy. Your body doesn't absorb everything you eat. Your mind also doesn't keep everything you read. You read 1 page and you remember only 1 point because you like that. So assimilation is, after reading, what are you going to follow in your life from that poem? I read a poem, Piano, by D.S. Lawrence. And in that poem, Piano, D.S. Lawrence says, I weep like a child for my bygone days. जाने कहाँ गए वो दिन कहते थे तेरे प्यार में नजरों को हम बिछा देंगे. There is a song in Indian Bollywood movie, right? जाने कहाँ गए वो दिन. Where are the snows of yesteryear? We always long our bygone days, right? You long your class 12, 11 days, class 10 days, right? So after reading the poem, what I understood that we all are nostalgic. We all are nostalgic. We all remember our childhood, right? But then I said, oh, I won't cry like Lawrence. Lawrence says, I cry like a child for my childhood days. Then I say, no, I should be wise. I shouldn't cry for my past. I should learn from my past. So what I'm doing, I'm agreeing, disagreeing, I'm telling what I'm learning from this essay. For example, in assimilation, you write how reading that text has helped you understand life. Why do you come to college? Why are you paying 10 lakh rupees almost, I guess, here? Why do you come to BBA program for 4 years? Because the belief is that college is such an experience that enhances the quality of our life. College is such an experience that imparts us skills that later we can apply to live successful life. So we get educated and we change, don't we? We get educated and education changes us in a positive way. So the question is, how does education change us in a positive way? The simple answer is because we follow what we read in life. We follow what we read in life. The first day in my life in grade 1 when I went to my primary school, my teacher said, "Aise karo." I did like this. He said, "10 अच्छी बातें सीखो." And the first thing he said, "जो चीज तुम जहां से उठाते हो, काम करने के बाद उसको वहीं रखो." I still remember. And even today, I hang my keys in the corner hook so that I won't miss. Look, I read this lesson when I was barely 4 or 5 years old in 1974-75. And today, after almost 50 years, I'm following. So education changes life because we follow what we read. Right? So in assimilation, you describe how reading this essay, how reading this story has changed your life and how your life has become better after reading that text. Okay. Now, so I said, this course aims to teach you how to read different texts and how to respond, and I showed you 4 things. Okay. Second thing, it says, okay, it talks about Bloom's taxonomy. We have few minutes. I'll stop here. We have 5-minute time. You take your pen and copy, and for 5 minutes, sit peacefully and summarize what we did and said in this class today. Your time starts now. For 5 minutes, in your note copy, recall what we studied in class today and jot down in points. Your time starts now. Summarize what we did in class today. Summarize what we did in class today in 5 minutes. You can use the information on the whiteboard. Just remember what I talked about and then try to make an outline note about what we talked about in class today. Let's see how much you can remember. If you can't remember, take help with a friend sitting next to you. You can talk together with someone. You can look into their note copies. You can take help with a friend sitting next to you. But your job is summarize the main points that we talked about in class today. Let's see how much you can recall. Okay, wait. One information. This afternoon, log on to YouTube and look for this channel. Devakar Upadhyay Aryal. You will see my photograph in Nepalese national dress. Open that channel. This morning I have uploaded a video where I discuss and analyze this curriculum. And there is information in that video which I am not discussing here. The homework is carefully watch the video and then write 2 paragraphs summarizing what I say there. Is that clear to you? Is my information clear? I said this afternoon, log into YouTube, look for Devakar Upadhyay Aryal, this name. You will see my photograph with national dress. That's my channel. Open. And the latest video is an introduction to this course. Watch the video and in 2 paragraphs summarize what I have said in the video. Because I'm talking about the curriculum.
How much words?
Time?
How much words?
But
How much words?
2 paragraphs. 2 paragraphs. In 1 page of this size, normally we accommodate 3 paragraphs. The rule is that 1 page has 3 paragraphs. So now you understand what is 2 paragraphs. Almost a page, right? Not complete page. My point is, watch the video and jot down the main ideas of my explanation. Now tomorrow, who is roll number? Who is Shirisa, for example? So Shirisa, tomorrow you will present on objectives of this course for 5 minutes. Just that. Just focus on objectives and for 5 minutes make a presentation on what are the objectives of this course. Yes. We have taken attendance, right? You came late, right? So don't come late. You miss attendance when you come late. What's the roll number? 13. So I won't mark your presence if you come late the next time, okay? Roll number 13. I'm marking your presence only this time. 13. Okay, now who is Adarsa Bajracharya? And in tomorrow's class, you will present in 5 minutes the different themes of this course. So we have 2 presentations, 5 minutes each tomorrow. One by Shirisa and the other by Adarsa. Feel comfortable, present the way you like. And after presentation, I'll tell you if you need to improve something. Any questions? Thank you so much. Yeah.